All right, guys, welcome into the Auburn postgame show brought to you by Medical Properties Trust. I'm Simone Eli alongside former Auburn defensive back Jordyn Peters joining me on the postgame show. We just finished hearing from Tigers head coach Bryan Harsin, taking a lot of the blame for this, Jordyn. Let's just talk about Harsin's postgame press conference really quick. Obviously, the final against Penn State, 41-12. The first thing that Harsin said was, guys, this was on me. This was on the coaching staff. We didn't have our guys prepared. I think that's probably an understatement, Jordyn.
Yeah, I feel the same because from what I seen, everybody was playing hard. Everybody's hearts was in it. Nobody was out there quitting. Even when we were down big, everybody was still out there playing hard. So a lot of times that's what happens. The coaches, they can see that also. They can see us players putting in all our everything we have into the game, trying to follow by the game plan that we do have. And then sometimes, yes, that does happen with coaches. It just get got. That's part of playing football. But it is also better when a coach does own up and be like, that's on us guys. Y'all did everything we asked y'all to do. We just didn't get the job done tonight.
Jordyn, I appreciate your insight here as to what things look like in a locker room after a disappointing loss like this, because this is a huge, embarrassing loss. I mean, this is the first time a Big Ten team has come to Jordan-Hare Stadium, and for them for Auburn to absolutely get blown out in the fashion that they did is embarrassing, not only for Auburn just within the program, but on a national level as well. When you're a player and you go out onto the field in a packed house, Jordan-Hare Stadium, and orange out, I mean, the emotions are high, the expectations are high. This is a game that was circled on the calendar all preseason. How do you walk away from this game? What are the emotions like? And how do you kind of pick yourself back up after something like this? Because there's a lot of season left to be played.
Yeah, most definitely. And just to go off what you just said, a lot of season left to go. That's how they got to look at it. Yes, we did get beat, largest marginal loss in who knows how many years at Auburn. Yes, but also it's early on in the season. We still have a lot of work to do, obviously, so we can get a lot better. So instead of looking at this as such a bad point, stain on our record for this year, we have to look at it okay, we can use this as a point to show where we were at the beginning and to show how far we've come along at the end. So yes, we need to take it on the chin and feel the hurt. Obviously, feel the hurt. We have to, because we can't get better if we don't feel hurt. Sure. But we also can't just let it tear us down. Also, because it's just one loss at the end of the day.
No doubt. If you're just tuned in, this is the Auburn postgame show brought to you by Medical Properties Trust. Jordyn Peters, former Tigers defensive back, giving us some great insight on what things are like postgame after a game like this. The Nittany Lions get the win 41-12, back-to-back years, beating Auburn and head coach Bryan Harsin. Jordyn, in your opinion, I mean, this has got to crank up the pressure on Harsin, not only from the fan base, but within just the college football realm. I mean, he was already kind of, quote, on the hot seat dealing with some issues going into this season, and this certainly cannot help his case.
Yeah, not at all. I agree 100%. Just with those off the field issues that did come up, a lot of people start to question Harsin after that. You feel me? If he's the right coach for Auburn, and I feel like just his response to this loss and the team and how they played from here on out will really show if he's a true coach or not. Because anybody can say you're a good coach when you're winning. When we're playing teams and we're winning, a true coach comes out when you do get that loss, that embarrassing loss, when you're well, I'm going to speak from player wise. So when we're all feeling down, like, what are we going to do? That's when a true coach comes out, when he's going to pick us up and be like, this is what we're going to do. There's no doubt in our mind. What has happened, but we have to keep pushing forward and move on. Because in the sport of football, we can't get caught up on last week, what we didn't do last week, or what we did do. We always have to move forward. So I feel like these coming weeks, these upcoming weeks, they will be very crucial in Coach Harsin's future at Auburn.
No doubt about that. Auburn will get going in the SEC play here in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, the Tigers are still at home for back-to-back weeks. Let's talk about this quarterback situation, Jordyn. From a player's perspective, right now, Harsin rolling with like this two-quarterback system. TJ Finley getting the start, obviously more of the pocket passer type. Robbie Ashford, more of the kind of take-off and run type. We saw Finley get a little bit banged up. A lot of folks calling for Zach Calzada, who we didn't see, and Bryan Harsin said in his post-game press conference that they considered him. So if he says that, then that tells me he's not injured, which I think was a lot of the questions. Is he not getting played because he's injured? So he's not injured, but he hasn't seen time. This is a guy that just beat Alabama in a huge shootout in a crazy game a year ago, but he hasn't seen time here at Auburn. the entire quarterback situation is a little bit of a mess right now, Jordyn. From your perspective as a player, how frustrating is this in the locker room, if trying to get sorted out, trying to figure out who the leader of the offense is?
Well, really, that's a whole team problem. It's not just like a particularly one person problem, just with being the quarterback. Leadership doesn't just, it obviously starts with the quarterback, but that trickles down with throughout every position group. But just thinking about this, this throws me back to, I think it was 2015, 2014 Auburn, where we played Jeremy Johnson and Sean White a lot in the games. And like, if you look at it, it's a lot of similarity to how the games go. Like, it's a lot of ups and downs, obviously so, because we're playing two different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So what I think we need to see is just a dominant overtaking from one of those three quarterbacks. Just saying, I'm the leader. I'm going to be the man that gets it done, right or wrong. I'm going to lead everyone. It has to be that person putting their foot down. I feel like that'll speak wonders to Coach Harsin. Every coach loves a player-led team. You feel me?
Sure.
And every coach loves a player that doesn't need to be told to lead the team. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's something that's also being taught. Who's the natural born leader out of those three of the team? Not even before we step on the field, because
Certainly.
football, yes, it's on the field type stuff, but chemistry wise, to be on
Yeah.
the football team, to be a player, you have to come together as one,
Mm-hmm.
as everybody. So until somebody steps up, which somebody might have, but I'm just saying, until somebody steps up, firmly puts their foot down, lets
Definitely.
everybody know this is how everything needs to be run, this is how everything needs to go, this is our standard. We're not settling for anything else less of that. Until that happens, I don't feel like we'll be all the way coherent as a team.
Certainly. Jordyn Peters, a former Auburn defensive back, giving us some great insight on how the Tigers respond to this straight up embarrassing loss to Penn State today, 41-12, the final from the Plains. Looking at the stats a little bit, Jordyn, two freshman running backs combined for 176 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns for Penn State over Auburn. Well, if you're a defensive guy, and you are a defensive guy, and you're taking this one on the chin a little bit. Now, the offense, when you're on the field as much as you are, I understand that gets exhausting. I don't understand how I haven't played, but I'm sure it gets exhausting. How frustrating is that when you look back at the stat sheet and go, wow, like this got away from us a little bit?
That's very frustrating. Like you said, I am a defensive minded person. So I just feel like, yes, we were on the field a lot more than we needed to tonight. It's always hard to leave a game, win a game, excuse me, when your defense is on the field way more than your offense.
Sure.
That's just always frustrating for us. As far as those freshman running backs, all night they were hitting us with those zones, just gashing us. Basically, a lot of times it wasn't even anything that they did like to make us miss the play. It was just us not executing properly. We were getting blocked. We weren't getting off blocks. When the gaps were opening up, you could drive a Mack truck through them. So it was just like little things that we could have changed ourselves. It wasn't so much Penn State just coming out and dominating us. It was a lot of us beating us, not doing things that Auburn football does, if that makes sense.
So is that, explain it to, it's for folks who like me and some maybe folks who are watching. Is that like a misalignment thing? Is that a scheme issue? Is that a preparation issue? Like where is it? All of the above?
Basically it's all of the above. It could be any one of those any given play. But a lot of parts tonight was football plays being made. I don't want to say like we weren't doing our jobs, because we were trying to do our jobs. Of course, we don't ever try to go out there and not do our jobs. But of course, playing a game, it can go either way. It was just tonight, the plays that we should have made, that we could have made, we just didn't execute them well enough to make them. And that comes with a part of the game, of course, but we don't ever want to settle for that. So that goes back to practice, just prepping for practice, being locked in, and staying locked in at the end of the day.
Yeah. Jordyn, after the game, there were some post-game interviews for Penn State, the TV broadcast, CBS, and in the background, you saw nothing but white. So the game started as an orange out. At the end of the game, all the Penn State fans that were up in the nosebleeds are now in the front, right there, front and center, chanting, kind of mocking the SEC. I mean, that's embarrassing for this program. It's embarrassing for the league. It's embarrassing as a player. How does that fuel these guys moving forward now in SEC play and saying this cannot happen again?
it should fill them up like a jet, enough to fly a jet across the ocean. To be honest, I don't know if you recall my senior year. Excuse me, it was my junior year. My junior year, we played Minnesota in a bowl game. We lost to them,
Oh, yeah.
and that wasn't even a home game. We were away. We played at the Buck Stadium in Tampa,
Yep.
and like it just like us as a team, we were just fuming because like it was a Big Ten team. We pride ourselves with being SEC ball. We're like the NFL junior. So like for them to come in and beat us, like it wasn't a good taste in our mouth. It wasn't a good feeling at all. So I
Yeah.
know how that fueled us then. So now Penn State coming into our home turf, beating us like that, that's the biggest loss we've ever had at Auburn, SEC, Big Ten, ACC, anything. To feeling like a jet rocket. Like,
Yeah.
because it's feeling me like I wish I
Yeah.
still had the eligibility left
Yeah.
to go
No
back
doubt.
out there. You feel me? Not that I
Yep.
don't think that they can handle it, of course, but I would love to go
Yeah.
out there and help my brothers too, though.
Sure.
But that just
Yeah.
goes to show you like the pride that we have about
Yeah.
Auburn, our fans, just not upsetting people. Like going out there and giving that the real Auburn effort that we always talk about. Auburn tough, Auburn effort, coming out, finishing. Not to say that bumps in the road won't happen like tonight. It's still a long season, but we just got to toughen up.
Yeah, really great insight here from Jordyn Peters on the Auburn Postgame Show brought to you by Medical Properties Trust. When you look at the road ahead, it's certainly not going to get any easier. Missouri is better than what they were, but then it's LSU, Georgia, Ole Miss, Arkansas, at Mississippi State. Jordyn, this is just the thick of the schedule. Auburn, I think I saw a stat early in the year. They might have the most difficult schedule in college football, if not somewhere in the top 2 or 3. I mean, how do you mentally prepare for that? How do you put this one in the past and move forward and say, hey, the bulk of what matters is still lies ahead?
Well, me personally, and this goes for a lot of the guys too, because I still play with a lot of these guys. Just gotta have we have a next play mentality. You also have to have a next game mentality.
Yeah.
You feel me? Yes, we lost a game, but yes, it's a long season, and we know we play in the SEC. A lot of people don't know when you come to Auburn, you're going to play the hardest schedule in the country. Yeah. Guaranteed. We have Bama and Georgia scheduled every year. Those are our 2 rivalry games. Nobody else has the 2 best teams in the country scheduled every year to play. And to add into that, LSU, Texas A&M, we always have powerhouses come in. So if you come to Auburn, you're always going to play great teams and always going to have a hard schedule. That's just something we come in knowing.
Yeah.
We're in the heart of the SEC. Obviously, Alabama's our rival. So me coming to Auburn, I never expected anything less, and I don't feel like these boys do either.
Yep. Well, certainly an opportunity to bounce back, to look ahead. Auburn is going to be at home the next 2 weeks. Missouri comes to town. So Auburn and then LSU. So the nitty-gritty of the SEC schedule is just about to begin. Auburn will look to bounce back after a brutal loss to Penn State today, 41-12, the final from the Plains. A lot of frustration to go around, not only on the field with Coach Harsin, who totally owned up to not having his guys prepare. But we will see how Auburn bounces back next week at home against Missouri, kickoff at 11 o'clock. Jordyn Peters, we appreciate your time here on the Auburn Postgame Show, brought to you by Medical Properties Trust. Y'all have a great rest of your evening. We will see you next week.
Thank you.
Medical Properties Trust, at the very heart of healthcare.